If you'd have said to me probably 3-4 months ago that when I was taking still life images inside like that, I'd be using a flash gun, I just wouldn't have believed you. My preference would have normally been for lighting, either use an LED light source like this as a fixed light source, or position yourself near a window for daylight. So what's changed? Well, the first thing, I've watched an awful lot of videos online for using flash photography, and the important thing really is to realize is that photography is nothing without light. If we don't have light, we have a black image, so that nothing is displayed. It's how we control the light as to how dramatic or pleasing we make the image. Just set up in my kitchen as usual. I've got basically this vase here sat on a green reflective surface, which I will come across shortly to the reason why. And I've just got a 5-in-1 reflector, the black side, as a background. I've also got my camera set up here with an 85mm lens on it, and at the same time I've also tethered it to my laptop, so hopefully you'll be able to see the settings and everything a lot easier for what I'm doing. The first thing I'm going to do is just take an image of what I've got there using the natural light that I've got coming from behind me, as well as some light above my head. If you look at the settings here, at the moment I've got this on manual focus. I'm shooting at 1/100th of a second, f2, ISO 400, and when I hover over the shutter button, you can just see on the bottom here that it should be correctly exposed. So if I just take that image and look at that, you can see on there it's fairly well lit, but it's also pretty flat lighting, which I might want something a little bit more dramatic. Here's the reason why I've used this green reflective sheet. It's not very good for reflections for starters, because it's almost like double layered. But if you look closely, it's showing on the vase where light is being reflected up. So at the moment it's got some at the very bottom here and under a couple of these lips, and I dare say there'd probably be little bits in there as well. Now let's bring in the LED light. So I've got this set at 58k light and at 50% power. Now this will appear in the image, but it's just to really show at least where it is. So at the moment I'm probably about 40 degrees from the side. And the idea is that I want to create really more dramatic shadows on the right hand side here. And when I look at my live view image here, at the moment I've got that much darker shadow on the right hand side, but it's still fairly bright. So if I hover over my shutter button again, I can now see I'm 2 stops overexposed. Now I can either increase the shutter speed, reduce the ISO, or up the aperture on this. So at the moment, for ease, I'm just going to reduce the ISO by 2 stops. So it takes it down to ISO 100. Now if I hover over there, I've got correct exposure. So if I take this image now and look at that, yes, I've got more dramatic lighting. Still got the reflective surface coming from the bottom, but it doesn't look so much. Probably might be a little bit overexposed where the light is hitting there, so I'd probably just take that down a little. But you can see on the right hand side here I've got that shade going up and down, but there's still a lot of light coming from there, because if this was the only light source, that side would be a lot darker. I'm going to take this light away for a minute. I've reduced the settings by 2 stops to cater for putting the LED light in, but the trouble is with 2 stops I'm still picking up an awful lot of light elsewhere. So if I now take an image with those same settings, no LED light, we'll see how much light is actually still being captured. So I'm now showing that I'm underexposed by 2 stops. Take that image, you can see from there what is actually being still picked up as natural light. So if we go back to the original one, which was shot at the correct exposure, which really looks quite nice, but let's say it's quite flat, everything's all fully front on. The LED light brought in that contrast, even though the exposure is a little bit over, but it's still picking up all of this light, and that's being captured purely and simply because of the natural light. So I need to basically get rid of this light if I want to capture the image that I want. Now normally, before the days I did flash, if I couldn't go into a room where I could block out the light, I would probably wait until night time and then make sure I've got no lights on, which is fair enough, but I'm in the middle of the daytime, it's almost noon, and I want to take images. I don't want to wait until midnight or start trying to block out all the lights from the windows and everything just so I can take my image. And that's where flash comes in. Now the first thing to do to make sure that I get rid of all that light is to change my settings so that it takes it out. Now my flash sync speed is 1/200 of a second, so I can take that up to 1/200 of a second at the moment. So I'm now showing that I'm at least 3 stops out. But what I'm going to do also, I'm going to take this up to f5.6, and I'm now more than 3 stops out. So if I take an image now and have a look, see what I've got. There you go. That is, I would say, almost black. I can just about make out the vase in there, which is not really going to pick up anything on the image. And if I wanted to really take that out, I could probably just up the aperture a little bit more. So if I take that to f8, retake the image, and this time it's now totally gone. So just by using the settings 1/200 of a second, f8, and keep an ISO 100, I've took out the lights that are above my head and all the light that's coming from the door. So I now have a total black image, and it's what most studio photographers would say, you've got control of the light, because any light that now gets recorded with the camera is going to be light that I'll put in. So could I still use LED? Yes, but let's just try this, because you may need a lot brighter LEDs than what you've got. So first of all, let's put this at 50% power. So I've just left all the settings for where it takes out all the light. And if I take an image now, and that comes in, and yeah, it barely just about makes out the vase. Now, what I can do with this, I can up the power and take that up to 100%. So that's now at the brightest it will go. Put that back to where it is, and still using the same settings, I'm still showing that I'm probably more than 3 stops underexposed, but that could be because the majority of the image is black behind. Take that image, and yeah, it's still very underexposed. I could still use a constant form of lighting like an LED light, but I'd probably have to go out and buy something that's quite powerful to illuminate that vase at the settings I've got, so that that's the only light recorded. But that's where flash comes in. I want to just cover why I didn't like using flash beforehand. Now I've got my flash gun on my camera. I've changed this to the ETTL mode, and it might well struggle with this. So I'm just left the settings on the camera on manual to where they were. And if I take an image here, and I've got to say, that's actually come out quite well exposed. But I've still got the same issue that from the very first image I had, it's still quite flat lighting. So they both look fairly similar. Now having the flash pointing direct like that is usually the problem. It's straight on in front of you, and it gives very flat, boring lighting. So I still don't get the finish that I wanted. So I've got several options here. First thing I can do is that most flash guns will just tilt, and I can tilt this up to literally fire up to the ceiling. Now if I look at that, yeah, that's actually done fairly well. This is now where this green reflective base shows, because I've got lots and lots of green appearing in the bottom under all these ledges. but it's also now coming right at the top lip here as well. So it's bouncing. Basically what's happening is that the flash is firing up to the ceiling, coming straight down as a very soft light, and it's bouncing off of the bottom here, and that is pushing light back up as well. That still gives a very flat light, but it takes out that sort of like in your face light. Now the other thing you can do as well, depending on where you are location wise, most flash guns at the same time will tilt sideways. So I'm just going to put this at probably about almost to the right, but just slightly forwards. What I can do then is use a reflector. If you don't have a 5-in-1 reflector like this, you can just use a piece of white card. Anything ideally white would be brilliant. If you need to really push lots of light back, then you want probably something silver, not gold, because if you moment use any colour, it will put that colour into your image. I'm going to still leave this on ETTL to see how it handles it, and I'm going to put the reflector on the side here, and hopefully when we look at this one now, it's now, I can see from this, it's better lit on the left here, and I've got that more shadow on the right. And if I try and just put the flash even more to the left, and I'll just try and bring that out there, see what that does. And as expected, because this is fairly small, there's only a certain amount of light that's coming across there, and at the same time as well, I'm probably still getting light bounce off of other things in the room. Now your best option really is, if you can, get the flash gun off the camera. And there are various ways you can do this. My camera doesn't actually have a sync slot, so therefore I have two options. I either use a transmitter, and at the same time I'm fortunate that my flash gun has a built-in receiver, but if not, you can buy cheap transmitters and receivers to just go individually on the bottom of the flash, and you have a transmitter on the camera. Now the other option is a flash sync cord. Unfortunately my camera hasn't got a flash sync socket, but my flash gun does, if I couldn't do it via the wireless connection. So I could effectively plug a cable into this, but as my camera doesn't have a flash sync socket, I could actually use one of these. And what these are, they're just a single pin point that sits on your hot shoe of the camera, and you connect your flash sync cable to this and the other end to your flash. And then when the camera says, look, fire the flash, that signal gets sent via cable and fires the flash. Some cameras have a small pop-up flash. It's an option to use that as well, because sometimes the flash guns also have a sensor in them when you set them to slave, that when they detect a flash light, they will then fire. If your flash gun doesn't have that, you used to be able to buy these things as well. So they're basically a dummy piece on the bottom. It's actually got the threaded slot on there to sit on a tripod, and the top is where you'd normally put your flash gun, and it's just got that single pin connection again. But on the front here, it's got this sensor again which detects the flash being fired off, so when that bit gets picked up, it will actually fire this. But for me, I've got a trigger which works exactly the same way. The good thing on this is that I can also control everything that the flash gun does on this, where I don't have to then keep going to the flash gun. So I'm going to stick my trigger on the camera. A lot of flash guns also come with a little foot so that you can stick these on, and at the same time you could also then mount them on a standard tripod. But for me, just for ease, I'm just going to use a light stand. I'm not doing anything special here other than putting the flash gun inside this, and it's holding it there. So the flash gun, when I put it on, switch it to receive mode and switch on my trigger, and hopefully you'll see that I can fire the flash from the trigger. I will have this flash gun a lot closer. It's now off camera on the left hand side there. I'm now telling the flash gun still to use the TTL mode, and I don't know really how well this is going to come out. But if we look at the latest image there, and there you go, that's really such a big difference. Possibly slightly overexposed, so I could, but it's that shadow on the right hand side is what I wanted for that dramatic lighting. And I'm just on my control here, just going to take this down by one stop, so that what happens is that the cameras and the flash are going to work out how much flash power should be going into the subject, and the trigger is now telling the flash gun, whatever you work out, take that down by one stop. And if we look at that one, probably a nice exposure actually. Might be a little bit dark, but it's not bad. But I've now got this right hand side literally in total darkness. You can just about make out the outline in places. So I could go to the point of where I put the flash gun at the back. I'll just move my thing back a bit, and I'll do some form of a backlighting. I don't know what this is going to come out via with TTL, but let's just take another image there, and if I look at that one, there you go. That's now totally backlit and giving such a different effect. And what I'm going to try as well is I'm just going to use the reflector here. It's probably about equal distance from the subject as what the flash is, and if I take an image there, yeah, you can actually just see what that's done is pushed. If I compare the two, it's just pushed a bit of light on this right hand side, so we can now actually see the edge of the vase from the background. Now the good thing is as well that when you're controlling all the light like this, you can be as creative as you want to. So I could use, say, like a gel like this to put in front of the flash. Hopefully that will stay on there. It's just by magnet. Chances are it's also, because I've got that in there, it's going to reduce the light. So I'm just going to put this back up to normal TTL without taking that one stop off. And if I take that image now, and there you go, my whole vase now has become red. Hopefully you've seen how easy it is to use flash. The most important thing first of all is to get your exposure settings right, is to just take out all the room light you've got to start with, so that you've got that black image, and take control of the light. Once you've got that, by adding your flash in there, LED lights, whatever you want, all adds to the image. But the important thing as well is get the flash gun off the camera. If you did want to buy a light stand to put your flash on, you can buy them for probably about £20 upwards, depending on how much you want to spend. The actual mount that I've got for my flash gun on there is called an S-type mount. And if you wanted to use something like that, again, they're about £20 as well. So, but it just makes it easier for me because I can then put attachments on in front of the flash gun, especially things like light boxes, umbrellas and stuff like that, which then gives you even more control over the light. Because at the moment with the flash gun, I've got that harsh light. If you don't use flash and you've always thought that using flash would not be for you, just the same as I thought before a few months ago, then I hope this has really been a help to you. Thanks a lot for watching.